What was it like to finally get to play alongside them?
Well, I got tired of sitting on the bench. I think it was long overdue for me to play. So, like I said, I'm just glad I got to compete.
Danny Granger Jr., born April 20th, 1983. Today's feature had one of the hottest runs from 2007 to 2012. I've always liked Danny Granger's game as he had a nice mix of all the right things that could make a star. He had great physical capabilities for the small forward position in the NBA, adequate athleticism, great shooter, high IQ player that even scored a 30 on his ACT, and most of all, what I appreciated most about Granger's game was that he literally could do everything on the floor, including play defense, which is a tough task being a number one option on the offensive end as well. Through that 5-year run for the Pacers, Granger averaged 22 points a game, more than 5 rebounds, and shot 39% from 3. Numbers you'd love from a wing, and ones that's made him an all-star in 08-09 for the first and only time of his short run and career. A coach's type of player that NBA 2020 championship coach Frank Vogel once publicly thanked for his support that led to his first head coaching job with the Indiana Pacers. Leaving high school, Granger was a McDonald's All-American nominee that averaged 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 5.5 blocks a game, and expected to be a number one option in college with the potential to leave school early. He played for both Bradley and New Mexico, where he was the go-to guy for both schools, leading to a first-round selection in the 2005 NBA draft. Looking back, if a redraft of that class was done, he'd probably be a top 3 pick behind Chris Paul and Deron Williams. Entering the league, Granger wasn't expected to step in right away and be a star. In fact, one could argue that with the Pacers, Danny Granger overachieved. He came in at just the right time, with Indiana blowing up the contender they had that went to the conference finals in 03-04 to clean house after the Malice in the Palace situation that threatened to turn the Pacers into the East Coast's Jailblazers. Granger sat behind All-Stars Metta World Peace, Stojakovic, and Jermaine O'Neal in his first season, but one of the best players the Pacers had by year 2, starting 57 of 82 games played. He came in at a mature 22, so by year 3, he was 24 years old and ready to lead the Pacers for the next 5 years. In that time, Danny Granger did build expectations to go on and at least become a star for the next 10 years. He played 10 seasons, 5 of them he was a star of the show, but then things took an unfortunate turn. At the prime entering age of 28-29, his production slipped drastically. He was traded and out of the league by just 31. Far from the growth that was supposed to have happened by then. Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. You can also send a super thanks by clicking the button below. Enjoy the video. Danny Granger was a 6'9" small forward from New Orleans, Louisiana that was a star at Grace King High School and a huge McDonald's All-American snub that averaged 24.3 points, 12 rebounds, and 5.5 blocks a game as a senior. He committed to Bradley University and made the all-freshman team at 11 points and 7 rebounds, but left after the first semester of his sophomore year while averaging 19 points and 8 rebounds. He left Bradley because of Coach Jim Less's verbal abuse and tactics implemented to intimidate players. He transferred to New Mexico, where he blossomed into even more of a star. By his senior year, he was 2-time All-Conference First Team and led his team in points, rebounds, steals, and blocks for the second straight year. He was drafted number 17 overall in 2005 at 22 years old. Stunt number 1, injury. We have to start here and can't go any further without mentioning the impact of injuries on Danny's career. By the time his second year in the league, with more space and his number called more often, he became a star. He could create for himself, post up down low, or in a corner and knock down open threes at an effective percentage, and by all accounts, he was a very good teammate. By his fourth year in the league, 08-09, he became an All-Star and Most Improved Player, solidifying his place as Indiana's centerpiece for the foreseeable future. He averaged a career-high 26 points a game, 5 rebounds, and shot 40% from 3 for the second straight season. Things were really looking up at this point, and then it drastically changed, and Granger was on the fast track to being out of the league by early 30s. After playing 62 games in 2011-12 and averaging great numbers once again, it was the last time he would reach those achievements because the very next year he played just 5 games with left knee tendonitis. He'd have surgery to repair it in April 2012. Because he waited to have surgery, attempting to give it a go February of that year, it wasn't fully ready to start the 12-13 season, as he missed the first 25 games because of how vulnerable and off balance his lower extremities were due to knee surgery and rehab, causing a calf strain that was bad enough for him to miss 1/3 of the season. Maybe Granger should have taken another year off because he was nowhere near what he was before the injuries in 2013-14 and averaged 8 points a game in 20 minutes and nothing much else. The Pacers traded him after 21 games to the Sixers but bought out by the team, and he signed with the LA Clippers. He played 12 games and averaged another 8 points a game and not much else. Clearly, injury at this point had hurt Granger, as the next year, 14-15, would be his last with the Miami Heat. Stunt number 2, Paul George. The Pacers didn't draft Paul George, a small forward of the same height and play style, because they didn't believe in Danny Granger. But I'm sure they were thankful to have him right before Granger began having degenerating knee issues that led to his drastic fall off production-wise and eventual exit from the team's future plans. The reason I would say Paul George was a growth stunt for Danny Granger is because of how good PG became in such a short time, making it easy to get rid of injury-ridden Danny Granger, who had seen his peak by then and was on the final 2 years of solid play of his career. Danny was a huge role model on the Pacers for George, who credits him for teaching him the NBA game and helping sharpening his skills as a defender, having to guard Danny every day in practice. By year 3, George was an all-star and much more productive in multiple categories, looking like a real player in the league. Not even just star potential, but superstar potential as well. Then he went back-to-back All-Star in 13-14, and the Pacers made their move to give him space, trading Danny Granger. That summer 2014, George would have one of the most gruesome injuries I've witnessed on the court and miss all but 6 games during the 14-15 season. One could say Paul George wouldn't have mattered had Granger not get injured, and I get that. But there's something about being traded and having to implement yourself into another star's team instead of him staying in Indy and seeing if possible his knee healed fully and his number could be called on to lead once again. But the way George was playing and played against LeBron in the playoffs, I'm sure the Pacers wanted to be out with the old and in with the new. Stunt number 3, ineffectiveness. No matter the reason, no professional team is going to let you sit around for long and allow your trade value to decrease if you're not producing. We all know it was because of Granger's injuries, which caused him to be a non-factor for the last 3 years of his career, as those simply made him step slower than he was previously, also less athletic and tentative about being injured again. He went from taking 19 shots a game to just 5 in less than 5 years. He joined the Miami Heat in 14-15 and played 30 games before being traded to the Phoenix Suns, and because of more knee injuries, didn't play for them or the Pistons, whom he was traded to and waived by, making that his final year in the league at just 31. All in all, Danny Granger did have a great 5-year run out of 10 he played in the league. One can even say he overachieved since mid-major New Mexico State to being an NBA All-Star. But once injury hit, he just didn't bounce back, simple as that. Salute, much respect, but So for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.